I never thought my junior year would change everything. Moving into the dorms at 21 felt like a step backward, but financial aid required it. What I didn't expect was Marcus. He bounded into our shared room like he owned the world, all confident smiles and easy laughter. While I carefully arranged my books by subject and color, he tossed his belongings wherever they landed, somehow making chaos look effortless. "You must be Jamie," he said, extending a hand that engulfed mine. "I'm Marcus. Looks like we're going to be seeing a lot of each other." The first weeks were torture. Not because he was a bad roommate, quite the opposite. Marcus was thoughtful, funny, and had this way of making everyone around him feel special. He'd bring me coffee during late study sessions. Remember, I had early morning classes and keep the noise down, and somehow always knew when I needed space versus when I was just being shy. It was the stolen glances that did me in. The way he'd stretch in the morning, unconscious of how his shirt rode up. How he'd bite his lip when concentrating on assignments. The soft smile he'd give me when he caught me looking, never mocking, just warm. "You're pretty quiet, you know that?" he said one October evening. We were both at our desks, supposedly studying, but I'd been watching him highlight textbook passages for the past 10 minutes. "Sorry, don't apologize." He swiveled his chair to face me fully. "I like it. Makes me want to know what you're thinking." My heart hammered against my ribs. "Usually nothing interesting." "I doubt that." He leaned forward, elbows on his knees. "Tell me something about yourself I don't know." The question hung in the air between us. There were so many things he didn't know, that I'd never really dated anyone, that I'd figured out I was gay sophomore year, but never told a soul, that sometimes I lay awake listening to him breathe and wondering what it would feel like to curl up against his chest. "I write," I said instead. "Poetry mostly." His eyes lit up. "Really? Can I read some?" "Oh no, it's not very good." "I bet it is." He was quiet for a moment. "You know what I like about you, Jamie?" I shook my head, not trusting my voice. "You see things differently. Most people just skim the surface, but you pay attention to the details that matter." The conversation shifted to safer topics after that, but something had changed. The air between us felt charged, full of possibility and questions neither of us was ready to ask. November brought the first snow and a biology project that required late nights in the library. Marcus insisted on keeping me company, claiming he had his own work to do, but I'd catch him watching me instead of his textbooks. "You've got snow in your hair," he said one evening as we walked back to the dorm. Without thinking, he reached up and brushed the flakes away, his fingers lingering against my temple. We stopped walking. The campus was quiet around us, blanketed in white and softly lit by street lamps. His hand was still in my hair, and I could see my breath mingling with his in small puffs of vapor. "Jamie," he said softly, and my name sounded different in his voice. Less casual, more careful. "Yeah, I." He dropped his hand, shoving it into his pocket. "We should get back. It's cold." But neither of us moved. "Marcus." My voice was barely above a whisper. "Yeah, I think about you a lot." It wasn't what I'd planned to say, but once the words were out, I couldn't take them back. His eyes searched mine, and for a terrifying moment, I thought I'd ruined everything. Then he smiled, not his usual confident grin, but something softer, more uncertain. "I think about you too," he admitted. "More than I probably should." The walk back to our room was quiet, but it was a different kind of silence. Expectant. When we got back, we went through our usual nighttime routine, but everything felt heightened. The sound of his toothbrush in the bathroom. The rustle of sheets as he got into bed. The soft goodnight that used to be casual but now felt loaded with meaning. I lay awake for hours that night, staring at the ceiling and trying to figure out what happened next. In all my quiet observations and secret hopes, I'd never actually planned for the possibility that he might feel something too. The answer came 2 nights later, during a power outage that left our dorm in darkness. We'd been studying by the light of our phones when everything went black. "Guess we're done for the night," Marcus said with a laugh. I heard him moving around in the dark, and then the soft glow of a candle illuminated our room. He'd found the emergency candle I'd tucked away in my desk drawer. "Always prepared," he said, setting it on the nightstand between our beds. "Very you. Is that a bad thing?" "No." He sat on the edge of his bed facing me. The candlelight cast dancing shadows across his face. It's one of the things I loathe. He stopped himself, looking down at his hands. One of the things you what? He was quiet for so long I thought he wasn't going to answer. When he finally looked up, his expression was vulnerable in a way I'd never seen before. Like about you, he finished, but we both knew that wasn't what he'd started to say. Marcus, I know this is complicated, he said quickly. We're roommates, and I don't want to make things weird, but I can't stop thinking about. I stood up before he could finish, crossing the small space between our beds. He looked up at me, eyes wide. About what? I asked, my heart pounding so hard I was sure he could hear it. He stood too, and suddenly we were just inches apart, the candle flickering between us. About this, he whispered, and then his hand was cupping my face, his thumb brushing across my cheek. When he kissed me, it was gentle at first, questioning, giving me time to pull away. But I didn't want to pull away. I wanted to melt into him, to finally stop pretending I didn't feel the electricity every time he looked at me. The kiss deepened, and all the tension that had been building between us for months finally found its release. His arms came around me, pulling me closer, and I could taste the mint of his toothpaste, feel the warmth of his skin through his thin t-shirt. I've wanted to do that for weeks, he murmured against my lips. Weeks. I pulled back just enough to see his face. I've been thinking about it since the day you moved in. He laughed, soft and amazed. Really? God, we're both idiots. Probably. The candle had burned lower, casting longer shadows across the room. We stood there holding each other, foreheads touching, both of us smiling like we'd just discovered something wonderful. So what happens now? I asked. Now. Marcus's smile turned playful. Now I get to stop pretending I'm not completely crazy about my incredibly smart, observant, beautiful roommate. Beautiful? Have you seen yourself? Really seen yourself? His hands framed my face. Because you're stunning, Jamie. Inside and out. The rest of the evening was spent in quiet conversation, sharing secrets we'd kept hidden, talking until the candle burned down to nothing, and we had to navigate by moonlight streaming through our window. We fell asleep in Marcus's bed, fully clothed, just holding each other. I woke up to his fingers running through my hair and the soft light of dawn filtering through our curtains. Good morning, he whispered. Good morning. I'd never felt so content, so perfectly right where I was. Any regrets? He asked, though his tone suggested he already knew the answer. Only that we waited so long, I said, tilting my head up to meet his eyes. He smiled and kissed me again, soft and unhurried, like we had all the time in the world. And for the first time in my life, I felt like maybe we did. The first time I kissed him, it wasn't planned. It wasn't even supposed to happen. 1 second, we were arguing over who should take the last slice of pizza, and the next his lips were on mine, warm, hungry, and tasting faintly of pepperoni and beer. I should have pulled away. He was my roommate, my best friend, the one person I swore I'd never cross that line with. But the way his hand slid behind my neck told me he wanted this as much as I did. And in that moment, there was no going back. I froze, my mind screaming this is wrong, even as my body betrayed me. My mouth moved against his, tentative at first, then harder, hungrier. My heart hammered so violently I thought he could hear it. His thumb brushed the curve of my jaw, and the room tilted. The couch beneath us suddenly too small to contain the electricity sparking between us. When we finally broke apart, gasping, the silence was deafening. His eyes, those impossible storm gray eyes I had spent 2 years pretending not to notice, were locked on mine. His lips were swollen, glistening. He looked as shocked as I felt. Ah! He ran a hand through his messy dark hair, the gesture so familiar it almost grounded me. Almost. So, about that pizza slice. I laughed, too loud, too sharp. My nerves spilling out. Yeah, you can have it. He smirked, but his gaze lingered on my mouth in a way that made my stomach flip. I grabbed my beer, anything to give my hands purpose, and took a long swig. The carbonation fizzed harshly down my throat, grounding me for a second before the reality sank back in. I had just kissed Matt. Matt, my roommate. My best friend. The guy who knew all my secrets except this one. That I'd spent months fighting the way my stomach knotted when he walked out of the shower in nothing but a towel. That I noticed the way his t-shirts clung to his chest after the gym. That I dreamed about him sometimes, dreams I'd bury deep and laugh off the next morning. And now, I couldn't laugh it off, because I'd kissed him, and he'd kissed me back. He leaned against the couch cushion, still watching me. The smirk softened into something I couldn't quite read. Curiosity, maybe, or hesitation. My pulse pounded in my ears. I should say something, I thought. Make a joke. Pretend it didn't mean anything. But the word stuck in my throat. Instead, I shoved the pizza box toward him. Eat before I change my mind. He chuckled, low and rough. You're too generous. We sat in silence while he chewed, the TV playing some sitcom neither of us was watching. My skin still tingled where his hand had touched me, and every time our knees brushed, I jumped like I'd been shocked. This was dangerous. I knew it. Matt wasn't just anyone. He was my constant, my safe space. Losing him would mean losing everything. But the taste of his lips still lingered, and the thought of never kissing him again felt like torture. Hey, he said softly, setting his plate down. Yeah, my voice cracked. His eyes flicked to my mouth again, then back up. You okay? I swallowed hard. Yeah, fine. A pause. His hand brushed mine on the couch. A deliberate touch this time. My breath caught. I don't think that was a mistake, he said. And just like that, the ground shifted beneath me again.